Carolyn Dube here. What's the play for today? Well, I have got a new gel printing tool from the hardware store, and this thing, well, it just be my absolute favorite ever tool. And I know that's a big thing to say, but it just might be true. Now, the reason why I love this tool so much is it's so customizable and it's not expensive. It's actually very affordable. And then on top of that, it's interchangeable. You see this thing, you might recognize it. It's a paint roller. And this is just PVC pipe. And you can put whatever you want on it, put it back on there, play with it on your plate. You can make a whole collection of patterns that you want to use. In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what you need to know to easily make this, because there were a couple little stumbling blocks I ran into, and I want to save you that time. I'm going to show you how to make a couple of them, and then of course, we're going to make some prints with them. So come join me for the play. What this is a paint roller. Now, normally with paint rollers, you put something on them like, a foam roller or something like that to roll paint on. But this is a piece of PVC pipe. And that is the part we're going to customize in this video. I'm going to show you 3 different techniques, ideas, ways that you can put stuff on these to create patterns, and then I'll show you how to make some gel prints with them. The PVC pipe will come in longer pieces than what you need for your roller, so you will need to cut it down. And if you haven't done that before, check out the hardware store. There are several different ways that you can cut PVC pipe. The first pattern that I'm going to put on that piece of PVC pipe is with hot glue. Now with this, I'm going to put these sort of very loose diamond-ishy shapes on here. When you're doing this, you can do any pattern, any design, anything that you want on here. The sky really is the limit. Now, if you want your design to be absolutely perfect and precise, then you're going to need to go slowly and give it time to cool before you turn your tube. And that's because with the hot glue, when it's really hot, it's also really runny. So on some of my pattern here, as I have a nice big thick area of hot glue and I'm turning, I do get a little bit of dripping. But since this is such a wonky, loose, imperfect pattern, I'm not worried at all about that. I say it just adds to it. But if that's something that you don't want to have happen, all you need to do is let the glue cool for a little bit there before you turn and do the next area. This is an extremely forgiving way of getting some pattern onto the pipe, because the hot glue, you can see some areas are thicker and thinner. Yeah, not going to be a problem when I'm rolling this out on the gel plate. And what about all those little spider webs, those little strings of hot glue? I don't worry about them. They just sort of kind of disappear and come off on their own as I'm using it and playing with it in paint. There's nothing special about the hot glue that I'm using. There's nothing special about the gun that you have to have. Any hot glue gun will do this. And you might be wondering, what exactly is that hot glue gun? Because every time I use it, I get asked that. And unfortunately, it's no longer manufactured. I can't find it anywhere online to give you a link. But I do have links to all the other supplies that I'm using down below for you. I'm going to set this aside so it can cool off, and I'm going to show you another technique. This one uses double-sided tape. And what you basically need to do is coat that entire piece of pipe in adhesive so that you can stick things to it. So what you just saw me do is my fancy way of eyeball measuring about how long a piece I want to cut. When you're putting the adhesive on here, it doesn't have to be perfect. Things can overlap a little bit. It can stick out the edge a little bit. It's extremely forgiving. The goal here is to just get a whole bunch of adhesive on this so that whatever we put on here will easily stay. Now, I eyeballed it on the generous side, so I'm going to trim it down here, and that excess piece that I'm cutting off, that isn't going to go to waste. I'm going to set it aside, and I'll use it in another project. Now, this is how I'm applying the double-sided tape to it. It doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. Whatever kind of double-sided tape you like that you've got, go ahead and use that. Maybe you don't have a big roll of it like this, but you've got a sheet of it. Great, cut a piece off of that. What happens if you have like the 1/2 inch, the double-sided tape that's sort of normal size and not this mega size? Then just put several of those on there so that you cover most of it in double-sided adhesive. Now, once I pull the backing off of this, the top part of it isn't perfectly even. I'm just going to push it down with my fingers, and now magically everything's where it needs to be. Now that it's sticky, you can start sticking something to it. I'm going to go with bubble wrap here, but you can use anything: corrugated cardboard, string, yarn, anything. Anything that you've got that you want to put on there to create texture with, you absolutely can do. I could have measured everything out exactly so I knew exactly what size to cut it and then worry about getting things lined up, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put it on there, start rolling it on, and while it's on there, before I'm all finished, I'm going to start trimming it up just so it gets a little more manageable. I'm going to cut off a little bit longer than what I need here. So now I've just got that little bit that I want to stick down. Now I can start thinking about getting it precisely. So I'm cutting it so that it will just fit in there so that things don't really overlap. Because whenever they do overlap at that end point, it will create a little bit of a line in the print. There is something that I want you to be aware of about the PVC pipe when you're buying it, and I'm going to share that with you as I make the third one. I'm peeling off the adhesive backing. You just saw how to get that adhesive on there, so I think you know what to do there. Now you can stick anything that you want onto that adhesive, and here I'm using fun foam that I've die cut. Now the reason why I chose fun foam is, one, it's inexpensive and I had some of it around, and two, it gives me a little bit of height. It gives it some dimension so that this can become a roller tool. And then I'm simply just going to put a couple of these on here so I get the whole roller filled in. Now the parts that are sticking out over the top, I'm going to cut those off, and I'm going to use those to fill in some of those gaps, that open space that's in between the two patterns. Now what do you do if you don't have any die cuts? Well, simply cut whatever shapes and patterns you want out of fun foam and stick them on there. The possibilities are endless with this. Now there's something that I learned the hard way, and I want to save you the frustration of learning this. And that is, when you buy your PVC pipe, make sure you bring your paint roller with you. Because it turns out PVC pipes are not exact, they're nominal, which means that they can vary slightly. So even when I bought the exact same size, or what I thought was the exact same size of PVC pipe, it actually didn't fit my roller. So anytime I go and buy more PVC pipe for this, I actually bring my paint roller with me, because if the PVC pipe is too small, it won't fit on the roller. And if it's just a hair too big, it also won't fit on there because it's too big, it's too loose, and it won't roll when we're using it on the plate. Probably not going to surprise you that anywhere where the fun foam isn't touching the adhesive, it's still sticky. I mean, it's double-sided tape after all. Now, I just leave them like this. It doesn't bother me. But if you don't like that sticky part to it, simply put some baby powder on it and then brush it off, and now those areas won't be sticky anymore. Let's make some prints with these. I'm going to start out by putting a small amount of paint onto my gel press plate here. You can do it with one color, or you can do it with more than one, like I'm doing it with two here. I'm just putting those little dots around because that's my way to control how much paint is going on there. And it also makes it really easy to get such a wonderful blending of the colors in here that you'll see how it just kind of adds a little something to the print when we're done. All right, so I've got that thin layer of paint, and now in comes the bubble wrap roller. You can do the entire plate like what I did here, or of course you can just do bits and pieces and parts. Now this is just one way that you can use these tools. You know I'm going to be sharing more ways that I play with these, so hit that subscribe button. That way you'll know as soon as I've got a new video out. All right, so here's what the print looks like with the bubble wrap. Let's try it with the hot glue now. So all I'm going to do is pull off the bubble wrap PVC pipe and put the hot glue one on there, and now I'm ready to go. For this print, I'm going to go with some warm colors. I'm going to go with an orange and a red here. And by the way, if you're wondering about the tips that are on these Amsterdam paints, these are nozzles that I buy separately from the paint so I can put them on there and control how much paint is coming out more easily. I tend to be very heavy-handed with paint, and so whenever I want to use a small amount, like when I'm doing something like this, having those little nozzles is a big help to me. Now, after I say about how heavy-handed I am with paint, it turns out I didn't put enough on here. But that's such an easy fix. If you don't have enough paint, simply put a little bit more on and then brayer it around. Now, you might have noticed earlier in the video, I mentioned that the sky's the limit with these and what you can put onto those PVC pipes. Well, the truth is, the sky's the limit with a gel plate too. There are so many ways that you can use them, so many ways to make prints. And if you're just getting started making gel prints and you're looking for some ideas, I've got a video with 600 ideas in it. And it's got a printable reference guide. So if you'd like me to send that to you, just use the link down below and let me know what email address is best for you, and the computer elves will send that right over. So now you've seen what the hot glue roller does, now let's check out the one with the die cut. As I slide this tube onto my paint roller, I notice that the ends of the die cut haven't been trimmed up perfectly. Guess what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be trimmed up perfectly. If you like it trimmed up, then do it. And if you don't care, don't worry about it. That's probably not any surprise to you at this point in the video that I'm going to use 2 colors here to make this print. And using 2 colors and mixing them on the plate like this is a great way to add just a little something extra to the layer. Something that makes it when people look at your gel print, they go, now how exactly did you do that? When somebody asks you about your prints, you can tell them how hard you worked to position those little bits of color, how meticulous you were, how long it took. But you and I will be in on the secret. We know how quick and easy it is to do. You're just braying those colors around. Throughout the video, I've been using an 8x10 gel press plate. But guess what? This technique, all these things, works on any size plate. Well, now that I've rolled that pattern on, the paper's going on the last print, so that means we're just about at the end of this video. And if you've enjoyed this video, I'd so appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you know of somebody that you think would enjoy gel printing, share this video with them so that they can join in the fun. Thanks so much for being here, and thank you for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.